took everything apart. That screw looks a little strange in there like that, but I think this guy really did a number on this laptop. I mean, he took it apart. This screw usually holds in the CD drive. Now there's no screws holding in the CD drive. I don't know what he did. Okay, that's back in. Get the top now. Take this opportunity to get all the crap out of it. Normally I don't dust on top of this piece, but I'm just showing you for the camera. No screws on the floor, Al. I have really perfected my technique, but we'll see at the end. We'll see how many screws I have at the end. Now before I put this on, I want to make absolutely sure that everything is back where it should be, and that this is going to... See, here's the thing. See that there? That part, that whole big metal honking thing, has to slide on top of the power jack we just fixed. That's why I didn't want any extraneous things coming out of the jack that we fixed, because it has to fit into there. So let's see if it fits. It's a little tight. It's a little tight. So let me just make sure we can get it in there without undoing everything we did. Okay, I don't want to push it. I don't think it's going to go. In that case, I am going to remove this piece. I'm just going to remove it. This is a piece that's stopping us. So I'm just going to take the little chunk out of this middle thing. It actually breaks off fairly easy, normally. Well, that wasn't good. It broke a little bit, but that's all right. So that's going to go in like that. So we want to make sure that we have plenty of slack there, so I'm going to break this off. Okay, just going to get any metal shards off that are still in there. I just kind of chipped it apart a little bit, which is perfectly fine. He didn't have any screws holding it in anyway, so one less screw is not going to hurt. It's a little different looking. I don't know if you could tell, but I broke a piece off of there. So now it's going to be able to slide right on top, hopefully. If not, we just break more off. And where does this go? There it goes. Okay, just screw that back on there. Perfect. Fits right on. Yeah, we're not going to buy a whole new plate. We don't need that part. All right. Okay, let's just start screwing it back together now. The only screws holding this laptop together are the ones that he didn't know how to take out, so that's the only ones I could put back. I'm going to tell him too, if he can, bring us the screws back in that he took. This way we can put his laptop back together properly. Okay, make sure everything's snapped back together properly. Looks good. Put our padding under there. Yes, it's a magnetic screwdriver. What I do, Al, is... Where's my magnet? I actually have a magnet, and I scrape the screwdriver on the magnet to remagnetize it. I think it's almost a necessity to have a magnetic screwdriver when you're working on laptops. Big time. Acid Burn, the guy who I buy my screens from used to be DVD Super 999 on eBay, but I don't really use him anymore. The prices of screens, guys, have come down so much that it's not even funny. It's like they used to be 150, 200 bucks. I've been buying them for like 80 bucks, 60 bucks now. I had no idea they would come down so much in price. So I don't always use DVD Super 999, even though he has never failed me once. Great seller, great quality screens. I used a company called Screens Fast on eBay. Got a good screen from them for like 50 bucks. It's ridiculous. I love doing laptop screen repairs. They're easy jobs, and you could get them done fast. You can make a lot of money if you do a lot of them. I will do a screen repair on one of the later videos. Okay, now I just attach those two ribbon cables back, that's all. And then I just scan the table here and see what's next. Alright, looks like the next thing is our screen. Sorry if I'm blocking the camera, let me just get this done and then we'll be good. Okay, there's the two screws that hold the screen on. There's also two screws on the bottom of the screen that hold it on, but I do not have them because the customer took them out trying to fix it himself. So these are what we're going to have to work with for now. Now, always with screens, when I put laptop screen, the screws back on the screen, I always give it an extra oomph with a a big handled screwdriver just to get extra torque in there, because these screws are the screws that will make the screen flop around and be loose, and you don't want that to happen to your customer. Okay, now that we got that in there, let's put all the cables back for the screen. Sorry for the moment of silence here, guys. I have to concentrate sometimes. Okay. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure all the monitor cables are back in their normal spot, and then everything fits back the way it should. So I'm just concentrating on that. Okay, that's back in there. One down. And this gets pushed back in there. Sorry if you can't see this, but I'm just putting cables back, pushing cables back. And let me see if this works out. Yeah, it looks good. See, I wanted to make sure, right at the hinge, all those cables need to be back. There's 3 cables branching out of there. I wanted to make sure they were all flush the way they were when I took it apart, because when we put everything back on, if it's not flush, there's going to be a little lump there. And I want to feed, I'm just feeding the wireless cables back through this hole here to get back to the bottom of the system. See, the wireless cables come, oops, you can't see. Wireless cables come through the bottom there. Just wanted to feed them through. And then put the tape back that was holding them in place up here. Tape number 1. Come on. Tape number 2. Okay, so this is all flush the way it was when we got it. All the ribbon cables are connected again. The screws are in. Okay, it's pretty much ready for the keyboard to go back on. But I'm actually going to take this opportunity now to test something I should have tested a little bit earlier. And that is just to make sure before we put everything back together that there's no short circuit here. That our repair that we did worked out. So I'm just going to grab a voltmeter. I'm going to put it on beep mode, which is basically testing, testing, what's the word? I can't believe I forgot the word. We're testing for continuity. I don't know if you can hear that, but it beeps when they touch each other. So I want to make sure if I touch the center pin of this machine and then touch a ground point on the machine, there's no beeps. So okay, you couldn't really see what I was doing, but there's no beep. So now I know there's no short circuit. That center pin is not touching anywhere in the motherboard, the ground point. So we know that at least it's not shorting out. I'm pretty confident that it's going to work, so I'm just going to put everything back together. This is what I call my confidence repair. I don't recommend doing that. It's basically when you think your repair that you just did is so good that you could put everything back together and just know it's going to work without testing it first. Without testing, without actually putting the power cord in and testing it. I tested for continuity just to make sure there was no short circuit. I recommend doing that. I recommend actually testing all along the way, but I like to do this with my confidence repair. Alright, let's see what we got here. We could probably put the keyboard back on now. Keyboard, cable ribbon goes right in there. Make sure it's in. Okay. Okay, just wanted to make sure that ribbon was in. It's in. Then you just flop the keyboard over. Push it down. This keyboard actually doesn't have any screws in it, so make sure all the ribbon cables are in, everything's nice, everything's straight. Everything is the way it should be. Yes, it is. Push that back in. Put our magical cover back on. Actually, we could have this flop over while we put this back in. Sometimes these ribbon cables are a pain in the butt. You get used to them. Okay, nice and smooth. Everything's back on. All right, let's flip that around. Let's do the bottom now. Let's get this processor back in. Just make sure there's no dust in that processor. Make sure the processor's in, lock it up. Okay, all locked up. Put the heatsink back on with a newly cleaned out fan and heatsink. Make sure you connect the fan back to the spot on the motherboard it's supposed to go. Put that baby right back in where it came from. Okay, put the heatsink screws back in. Tighten them up like as you would tighten a tire, guys, same way. You don't want to put one corner in completely tight and then do each one like that because, like I said, you don't want uneven pressure on your CPU. That's your brain. Give that a couple turns. 1, 2, 3. Just a couple turns. 1, 2, 3. Couple turns. 1, 2, 3. Back to the first one. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Back to the first one. 2, 3. That's tight. 2, 3 is tight. 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 That's in there. Don't over tighten your heatsink screws. It's unnecessary. You don't want to break the motherboard. And what I like to do now is when I see putting all the components back in, I like to just dust them off, put it back in. Put your antennas back on the wireless card. They just snap right on. Almost done, guys. I think 5 more minutes and we'll be there. Okay, and this is the wireless thing. These always get dusty, these little plates. Just hit them with the old paintbrush, clean them up. Put that back in. Now I notice we have these 3 little tiny screws here. They go right here. Might as well put them in now. They hold the magic plate, like I called it. The magic plate, the key. They hold that on. Okay, now I notice as I'm doing this, my hands got thermal grease on them from that stupid processor. See the gray or whatever it is? I'll tell you how to get that off. Purell. I love it. Squirt a little bit of that on there. Get a napkin or a towel or something. That's a lot better anyway. Anyway, that's the best way to take that stuff off that I know of, is Purell. Okay, let's put the memory back in there. Put the memory cover on after we dust it. Okay, let's put this big plate on that covers the CPU and the fan. Dust it off. And you might be asking why you keep using that same paintbrush. Doesn't the paintbrush get dusty? No, because every once in a while I just take it and I put it on the edge of my desk and I just do a shake and get all the I get all the dust out of it. One screw. 2 screws. 3 screws. Last is a hard drive, guys. We're almost done. Aren't you excited? I am. Okay, hard drive. Push that back in there. Push that back in there. It's in. Okay, screw that on top of there. Screw that in there. One more piece, one more screw. Look, no screws left. Who's the man? And now, let's take his power adapter. The moment of truth. Bad dog, I am not worried at all. Do I look worried? You can't see my face. You don't know how worried I really am. But dun, 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 dun. Do it with the battery out, because with the battery in, it might be misleading. First thing you do is you put this in, you pray that you don't see or hear a spark or smell something burning.